Energy levels in the Democratic Party are ramping up as polls show a close race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Last night, Americans heard the familiar voices of the Obamas rallying behind Harris. Tonight, her vice presidential pick, Tim Walz, will present his vision for America. Thousands have convened in Chicago for the party's national convention, an event that will set the stage for the next 11 weeks of the U.S. election campaign. Among those at the convention is Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet. Hello, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Hi.
So why are you there in Chicago? Are you just there to witness history, or is there something that you're hoping to achieve at the DNC?
There's not so much to achieve. Being here is very important. Actually, I received an invitation after having said might be interested, and I was quite surprised because I had the invitation a few days later, actually last Thursday, which required for me to change everything and be here yesterday and today. The idea, I would say the idea is being here. There's a message in that. We are interested in who you are and what you do. We are interested in a good relationship between Quebec and the Democrats or United States. You are interested in what we are and what we do also. I received the invitation because there was some interest, curiosity, politeness. So the idea is to be here, to listen. I would say to learn, because that kind of events is so huge that we do not have something to be compared to it in Quebec or in Canada. So there are things to learn. There are things to learn also about the enthusiasm of the people who gathered here for each of those evenings, listening to speeches that by themselves teach us a lot about where the Democrats are going.
Yeah, one of the speakers that's up tonight is former President Bill Clinton. I don't have to remind you of this, but you might remember that he kind of famously signaled he preferred a united Canada during the 1995 referendum debate. Are you there in Chicago to kind of build alliances, to build American support for Quebec sovereignty?
I would not say that, and I do not do that. I've been received at the State Department twice so far. What we have to do is to explain who we are, what we believe, what we propose. We are not asking United States or any party to take position into that. They would not. I would not have them do it, but they have to know. So everybody is quiet. We would be a reasonable, respectable ally, neighbor, and partner to the United States. So it's the only message I want to convey, and I want nothing else. But I'm not here to promote anything. I'm here to listen. And if I have to speak about some issues with people I meet in the place, it's lumber wood, it's protectionism, it's clean energy, it's supply chains. Those are issues that we all already have in common and might be improved. And I want to know what they do think about it. And if the opportunity comes, I will say what we do think about it.
You mentioned some bilateral irritants, some issues between Canada and the U.S. Do you think that Kamala Harris's time in your province, of course she spent some of her formative years in Montreal, she graduated from Westmount High School. Do you think that if she is elected, it could bode well for Canada-U.S. relations, given that she spent so many years here?
I believe that the fact that she knows Canada and Quebec is a good thing. But we must not be naive. There are some issues between Canada and Quebec and United States about which we do not agree. Trade is one of them. Lumber wood is one of them. Aluminum might be one of them. Dairy products have been one of them. We have sometimes to have serious discussions about those issues. And it's not because I'm here at their convention that I believe that the Democrats will do everything perfectly in our best interest. But the idea is to promote the possibility of U.S. best interests, Canada's best interests, and Quebec's best interests converging, being as much as possible the same.
You weren't at the Republican National Convention. How come? Were you not invited to that one?
Oh, I was not invited, and I must say that I would not have gone. I must be honest about that. I'm not against the Republicans. There has been some great Republican presidents of the United States, but the type of politics that Mr. Trump does not appeal to me. I would not recognize myself into that in any way. If we compare the way Mr. Trump does politics and the speech of Mr. Obama yesterday, and I expect the speech of Mr. Clinton to be about the same, those are visions of politics which are so different, and I am personally more comfortable with what I heard yesterday night than what I hear on a daily basis from Mr. Trump.
Polls suggest it's a very, very close presidential race. It's on a knife's edge. Are you worried about a second Trump presidency? I mean, one major issue, you talked about irritants, is the potential of Trump slapping a massive tariff on imports from all over the world. That could be incredibly damaging to the Canadian economy, the Quebec economy. How should the government prepare for the possibility of a second Trump presidency?
I believe that the best part of a possible second Trump presidency is that it could not last more than 4 years. The damages that could be done would be somewhat reduced. And about the fact that the election will be close, they are almost always very close, but I am quite optimistic. It will be closer than the Canadian election will be, that's quite clear. So let's see what's coming, and let's see how Canada and Quebec will adapt to the choice that the United States will do this fall, because our own election might come afterwards.
Speaking of Canadian issues, of course, immigration and the border, it's a major issue in the United States. It's definitely going to come up in the presidential race. It's going to come up in our election here next year as well. The country is grappling with a massive influx of temporary foreign workers, particularly the low-wage stream. Quebec just got a partial exemption from the program. Do you think, though, there should be a larger crackdown nationwide? How many temporary foreign workers should Canada accept every year?
Our position about that is quite clear. We believe that Quebec should have in its own hands all powers and jurisdictions about immigration, but of course what is based on international security. Then we could do what we see fit in order to help our own economy, have the responsibility towards those who need help, because immigration is also humanitarian. And we could also make sure that through this process, we do not sacrifice who we are. In French, I always say, immigration réussie, successful immigration. There are ways to measure how much successful is immigration. And at present time in Quebec, because of Ottawa policies, immigration is not successful. It's a huge failure, and we pay the price for that.
Yeah, speaking of Ottawa's policies, we know the number of non-permanent residents, so students, temporary foreign workers, has gone from about 1.3 million to now more than 2.5 million in just 2 years' time. Do you think that that's too many? What's a fair number to get what you're calling successful immigration?
Since we cannot receive those people well, we cannot take care of those people, we cannot easily pay for all that comes with this responsibility. I believe that ideologically the Liberals want to keep everything very much open without being able to do it. You know, when you receive somebody in Canada because this person feels threatened in his or her country, and this person sleeps in the streets of Montreal in January, we have a problem. We are far from being successful. So let's do less and do it much better, because now we are not helping much of those people. And we are also losing track of more than 1 million people on the Canadian territory that the federal government does not know present location.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much, Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet. Appreciate you coming on, sir, and enjoy Chicago.
It's been a pleasure.